He's got wind. Well, we have passed, or we are in the halfway point of the Earth Wizards Intensive. And I feel as if we've reached the peak of the mountain. We're doing very well up here on the mountain. I just wanted to share that we had a beautiful meeting. All the people who requested to present their projects to us, we said, well, rather than meet with them individually, because, you know, why should we be the only ones to hear the projects, we had a group meeting. And it was very profound because we realized we are such a cultural diversity here. We are every age group, from all over, many places on the planet. And so we had a very inspiring meeting. So I believe the revolution has been finally launched in this Turtle Island. So hallelujah. So we continue with our classroom this afternoon. But this morning we had the time and morality, the test. We had time in the biosphere and the Judgment Day trial. And it's really that we have to accept our moment of responsibility, to make a choice. And to really, every moment we have a choice. Every moment that we're alive in this physical body, we have the choice as to how we're going to be in the moment. This afternoon, we have the RINRI project, Rainbow Science and the 260 postulates. And this is when we start to get into the rainbow science that has profound implications for moving us into the fourth dimension. I'm going to read briefly from one of the early RINRI project newsletters. The discovery of the law of time has made conscious the knowledge of the actual ratios governing the experience of time. Henceforth, the infinitely locatable point in space, which you embody, can now consciously coordinate different time vector potentialities. That is precisely what is meant by coordinating anywhere from 3 to 5 levels of time simultaneously by practicing the RINRI project daily. The conscious coordination of time vector potentialities, especially in conjunction with the activation of the psi bank, makes conscious the planetary telepathic field, which until now has existed only unconsciously and in a potential state. Congratulations to all RINRI project practitioners for maintaining the mental and daily discipline to exercise this evolutionary unfolding for all of the species.
Thank you and good afternoon. We will continue with our unfolding of the science of the law of time. As Bolonik said, the meeting that we had at noon with the different people who were presenting their projects was very moving and very exciting meeting for all the diverse range of people and ideas there, which actually were all very synchronized. And it is very clear that the law of time has made its impact, and that the law of time is now actually being understood and providing the basis for a genuine revolutionary movement, revolutionary in the sense of presenting a new form, a new science, a new knowledge based on the simple instrument of the 13-moon calendar, which of course corresponds to and is a function of the law of time. It is the most pragmatic, simple level of application of the law of time. And now we will be talking further about how we foresee the unfolding of this program for the next 4-year cycle, and then the next 9-year cycle, and the next 13-year cycle. But it's very clear that we have definitely launched the revolution in time, and so we are extremely gratified about that. The what this, as we've been saying, we are actually experiencing the culmination of a 7-year process, and that you might notice that there's a number of drawings that are up against the wall there, and the first 4 down there that are mounted in red describe, you can go look at them later. Don't crane your necks and need a chiropractor, please. Yeah. I'm sure we got some chiropractors here could use the business, but but I'm just pointing this out to you that there are the first 4 drawings down there are sequenced there, and they describe the mystery of the 7 and this cave of origins of the 7 and the earth wizards going to the cave of origins of the 7 caves, which represents the 7 weeks of the earth wizard seminary, which also represent the 7 days of this seminary here, and also that you'll see when you go study those, the 4th one shows how this movement has built up from a simple point to provide a base, and that base we are now very firmly established. That base around the planet. This base is now firm, as I mentioned, in Japan, in Russia, in Western Europe, throughout Latin America, and now in North America, and we feel that we have enough of a base and a critical mass now to launch forward for the next 13 years to see to it that Velatropa 24.3 is secured for the Galactic Federation as basically a Galactic Federation plan to make sure that Velatropa 24 is able to sound the chord of the 5th force on the pre-designated date of yellow galactic seed in the year of 2013. A part of this process, this has been an interesting process because it has been a cumulative process, and it has demonstrated that by actually following the law of time, by actually working with the whole system of the planetary field, of the Cybank, of the chronosphere, that has actually been instrumental in continuously triggering new downloads of information that help further augment this whole process of the discovery of the law of time. So you begin with a simple thing like the 13-moon calendar and say, this is in the 1320 frequency, let's follow this. And then when we get the toolkit of the dream spell, the 4th dimensional toolkit, and then we say, let's start applying this, and then from that then we get the prophecy of the telectonon. We say, okay, let's start following this, and from the telectonon prophecy then we established the actual world 13-moon calendar change peace movement, and then it was from that we began to have the first of the major events of the movement, the first planetary Congress of Biospheric Rights in Brasilia, which was attended by 200 to 300 people from around 17 or 18 different countries during the solar moon of the Electric Wizard year, and that culminated in a very tremendous experience. That it was at that event that we gave birth to the Rainbow Science, and the project of the Rainbow Bridge was first conceived, and on the final day of that event, which was held at a beautiful place in the capital city of Brazil, in Brasilia, at the World Parliament of Religions there, that on that final day we had a very, very spectacular double rainbow that appeared over the city of Brasilia as we completed that event, and everybody was very inspired. From that following being in Brasilia, we then, Bolonik and myself, then returned to Japan for our third visit there, where we went to Mount Fuji, to a place called Gotemba near Mount Fuji, and for Earth Day that year, which we renamed Biospheric Awareness Day, which the acronym is BAD. We had very interesting gathering of people there. We had already made contact with the president of an organization called the Rinri Institute. The Rinri Institute was founded the day after the Japanese formally surrendered to the United States of America on September 3rd of 1945, and the founder of the Rinri Institute felt that the Japanese people, as well as the people around the world, needed to have to restructure their morality, and so he founded the Rinri Institute, which means Rinri means ethical enlightenment, the Institute for Ethical Enlightenment. When we were in Japan for our second visit the previous year, we had been invited in 1995. We had been invited for the Rinri Institute's 50th annual fire ceremony and march near Mount Fuji. The Rinri Institute is a very respectable organization in Japan with probably 1 million or so members, and throughout all of Japan. And the Rinri Institute basically is based on a set of 17 moral precepts, which I think Bolonik will. Did you want to read those? Yeah? Did you want to read them?
Right. I'll just go ahead and read them through, because since the founder of Rinri realized, the kind of moral decay that we were experiencing after Hiroshima and in this century, and so these precepts are now applied according to the law of the cube, and so you practice them one a day as you go through the 16 days of the cube journey between day 7 and 22 of every moon. And so it's very helpful to have a moral precept to give yourself in the morning. So on the dragon, the opening day of the cube, today is the best day. Now is the best opportunity. Now you are the dragon. That's on the dragon day. The wind, hardships are a gateway to happiness. Night, it is you yourself who determine your fate and create your environment. On the seed day, other people are the reflections of our own mind. All things in the universe are our teacher. On the serpent day, man and wife are a pair of mirrors. On the World Bridger Day, the child is a great actor performing as on the stage the mind of the parents. On the Hand Day, the body is a symbol of the heart and spirit. Sickness is a danger signal of our life. On the Star Day, cheerfulness is father of good health, and friendliness is the mother of happiness. On the Moon Day, a breach of promise will cause you to lose your happiness and to deprive others of their happiness. On the Dog Day, work is the highest joy. On the Monkey Day, material things come to those who make the best use of them. On the Human Day, give up and you will receive. On the Skywalker Day, do not forget the origin nor neglect the completion. On the Wizard Day, hope is the sunshine of our heart. On the Eagle Day, faith leads to success, fear and doubt to failure. And finally, on the Warrior Day, respect yourself and do the same to others. And then when you get to the 23rd day and you leave the Warrior's Cube journey and the Lover's Reunion, we have the statement I read already. Life is a drama produced by God, and you play a leading part. That's the key to navigation. So in practicing these Rinri precepts, it's a very pragmatic and actual way to ground ourselves in this ethical enlightenment, Because as you could probably hear in each of the RINRI precepts, it's a profound sense of taking responsibility for your own life and for every thought that you have and for who you are, and in the discovery of knowing your galactic origins. So this is being practiced as a part of the RINRI project.
So it was that when we returned to Japan for that Earth Day, the Biospheric Awareness Day, that we were invited then to give a presentation at the RINRI Institute and also in Tokyo. And it was here that the RINRI project was formally born. We began to flesh out the idea of the circumpolar rainbow bridge, and keeping in mind that the Manhattan Project, which had been responsible for the creation of the bomb at Trinity Site in New Mexico, that was used then to bomb Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Since that was the Manhattan Project, we decided that the Circumpolar Rainbow Bridge should be called by a Japanese name, so we named that the RINRI Project, and we formally made that, formalized that project at the RINRI Institute in Tokyo after that Biospheric Awareness Day. Following that moment, we returned to North America and prepared for the boundary dissolving ceremony. I know some of you people, Deanna was there, and a few other people were at that event, which was a very interesting moment on the 28th day of the crystal moon of the electric wizard year, where we gathered at the Four Corners, where the one place in the United States where 4 states meet. And after a lot of difficulty and negotiation with the Navajo Nation, Randy, he was there too, that we were able to have quite a gathering. We had about 800 people that showed up in the pre-dawn at the site, and that morning, instead of the flags of the different states in the United States and all of that being put up, we had the Earth flag, the rainbow flag, the flag of the galactic shield that's on the Dream Spell cover, and then also over there the banner. This was the banner that we created for the first Planetary Congress of Biospheric Rights, which has since become the logo of the World 13 Moon Calendar Change Peace Movement. You see it says "One Time, One Earth, One People," and that it shows 3 Earths. This is the one that we used in Costa Rica last summer for the World Summit on Peace and Time. The Costa Ricans were apologetic that it just showed the North America instead of the whole Earth, but we were doing our best to create that banner. But the 3 Earths represent the fact that this is Velotropa 24.3. This is the third world, okay? And that in the center of that is the logo of the Banner of Peace, which had been presented to the world by Nicholas Roerich and for the signing of the Roerich Peace Pact in 1935. So that's at the very center, the Banner of Peace, which represents the unity of culture and the unity of science, art, and spirituality. And then that's set in a tetrahedron that connects the 3 worlds. And then the solar ring, the yellow ring around that, which is the one time, one earth, and one people. That's that flag. We also had at the Four Corners, and so that was a boundary dissolving ceremony. That was really quite an interesting event. It was one of the most not the most interesting, the most telling, we might say, thing that happened as far as the media coverage went. Was the NBC News was there to cover. They were the only major media that showed up for that event, And so they were there, and we said, well, you can film it, but you have to stand back, and if you want to interview us, you can interview us later. So this was a very serious event because we were demonstrating that we don't need boundaries, that we're operating under the Rainbow Nation, we're operating with the whole Earth, we're operating with the 13 Moon Calendar Change Peace Movement, we're operating with the principle of biospheric rights and awareness. And it was very interesting that when NBC used this, what they did with the coverage that they did, they put it into a presentation on the New Age, and the one shot they had of the boundary dissolving ceremony was when they were talking about how many millions of dollars the New Age was making this year. So that's a very good example how this movement has been treated in this country, and that, as I said, we've given interviews. We gave an interview to a major Tucson newspaper prior to this event, and the interviewer was asking us, well, what does this have to do with the New Age? And I said, this has nothing to do with the New Age. This is the new time. This is something altogether different. So the headline story was, New Agers March to Four Corners. So, and no one ever says World 13 Moon Calendar Change Peace Movement. They never say that in a news story. We showed up at a press conference in San Francisco in 1995 and talked about the 13 Moon Calendar Change Peace Plan and the efforts to change the calendar, and the only story that ran was New Ager touts New Age showman touts calendar change. So that's me. That's how come I was playing this crazy instrument. Okay. So anyway, so that was quite an event that occurred, and also afterwards there was a major thunderstorm which broke a drought that had been occurring there. The natives there were very, very impressed that we had been able to break the drought that had been occurring in Four Corners. After that we went to the annual gathering of the Rainbow Gathering that was up in northern New Mexico. That's where I think we ran into oneness back there. And then we stayed in that area, and then on July 16th, which was the White Galactic Wizard, we went to Trinity Site for the 50th anniversary of the atomic bomb test, which was also quite an event. We had a big caravan that came down from the Rainbow Gathering and joined with some other peace groups, and arrived at Trinity, camped out near Trinity Site the night before, and then arrived very early before dawn at Trinity Site, which was already very, very highly guarded. There were many U.S. military troops there, and Bolo Nick and I went marching forward. We were holding a very large banner of peace, and when we got to the gate to go inside to the site of the atomic bomb test, the banner was forcibly taken from us. We were told that it was forbidden to have any symbols inside the Trinity, inside the actual site there. So the banner piece was taken from us. We went inside, and there was a lot of interesting chaotic activity. We went to the actual place where the bomb was actually exploded, and we were there with all of our rainbow jujube things and everything else, doing rainbow songs and everything. And when we got done, it was very interesting. We finished, and sure enough, there was another rainbow. There was a rainbow right over the horizon there when we finished that. So that's a little bit of background on that. We went from Trinity Site then to Mexico City, where some of our Planet Art Network and 13 Moon Calendar Change Peace Movement people there had organized a 5-day follow-up to the Biospheric Congress in Brasilia, the Harmonic Convergence of Humanity, where we presented again the principles of the Calendar Change Peace Movement and the Rainbow Science. And then on the New Year's Day of the blue self-existing storm year, we are able to have a large march through the ancient pyramid city of Teotihuacan, maybe 1,000 of us, and it was there that we formally announced the beginning of the first world peace. We said, well, no one else is going to declare peace. We'll declare peace, and we're going to start to have the first world peace. And this was the initiation and of the 4 years also of the RINRI project. If you look in the booklet, the complete guide to the RINRI project, it says, the first thing it says, the introduction to that is a scientific experiment called world peace, because the RINRI project is a scientific experiment, and it's about bringing peace to the world by putting a rainbow around the earth. And so this project was launched at that point, and the nature of the problem, as we expressed it this morning also, was that through following the incorrect timing frequency, the impact of human thought and technology has created an imbalance in the biosphere and also an imbalance in the geomagnetic and electromagnetic field of the Earth, and that because of this, that we also refer to the need for the magnetic re-education of humanity, that the humanity has to become repolarized and repolarized and magnetized into the 1320 timing frequency. And so we also then describe what the nature of this experiment is, which which has a number of different levels and parts, which we'd like to go into. So you understand, for those of you who don't know about this, so you know exactly how it works. And we still have another 3 moons or so we can all continue to participate and increase the telepathic field. It doesn't matter if you haven't been doing it until now. If we can get more people doing it now, the better, and then you can go tell some other people and tell them, okay, this is what we're doing, and we're going to do this up to this point of this coming day out of time. That's Vandir. He brings this stuff from Brazil. He calls it my petroleo. Just in case anyone wondered, okay? Yeah. It's Café do Brasil. Okay. I keep talking about Vandir, but I also do want to mention that we have 2 other people who are with us from Brazil, Maria and Amelia, who are sitting here in the front row, and I don't want to slight them or forget them. Vandir would be nowhere without them. So the first aspect of the whole point of this is the magnetic stabilization of the Earth. Okay, so the hypothesis is that through the incorrect timing frequency and the effects that the Earth has become magnetically destabilized. As I mentioned this morning, there's enough evidence to show that we could be very rapidly approaching a pole shift. And since it has been the humans that have created this disorder, it should be the humans that actually stabilize this disorder. And as I said, since it was negative impact process that created the destabilization, then we have to have a positive telepathic impact process to stabilize it. So the first aspect of this is that we've been operating, as we know, our Velatropa 24.3 has a north magnetic pole and a south magnetic pole, and that the equator, the influence of the north magnetic pole goes down to the equator, and the influence of the south magnetic pole goes up from the south pole up to the equator. If we if the North Pole is a positive charge, the South Pole is a negative charge. And so the first aspect of this experience was that the whole 13 moon calendar change peace movement is organized into two large groups, the groups that are functioning in the northern hemisphere and the groups that are functioning in the southern hemisphere. And during the first half of the year, the first 182 days, which goes from magnetic moon 1 to the 14th day of the resonant moon, the northern hemisphere teams send a magnet to the southern hemisphere teams, okay? And that this magnet goes from the north, they send it and it goes into the center of the earth where there is a large invisible magnet. This is called turning the invisible magnet of beingness. And that the magnet sent there, and it turns the magnet toward the south, and then the magnet that is being sent by the teams in the north then is released from the center of the earth and then goes and is received by the teams in the southern hemisphere. Then once you reach the point of the resonant moon 15, then from resonant moon 15 through the 28th day of the cosmic moon, then the southern teams do the same thing. They reciprocate and they send the magnet to the core of the earth, and then from the core of the earth to the teams in the northern hemisphere. So there's a complete reciprocity of the magnetic balance, so that one half of the year one team sends and the other receives, and the other half of the year the other teams send and the first team receives. So that was the first thing. Now this was coordinated then with several other factors. We talked about, where was that planet hole on? Yeah. Now, we talked about the fact that on the planet hole on this diagonal line here creates what's called the chromatic, okay? And the first one is the white, like for instance today is the white chromatic, the dog to the wizard. The second one is the blue chromatic, it goes from blue eagle to blue storm. And then the yellow chromatic from yellow sun to yellow seed, and the red chromatic from the red serpent to the red moon. Those are what are called in the dream spell the clan chromatics. But the Rinri project experiment works with what are called the overtone chromatics. The overtone chromatics always start in the South Pole and then jump to the North Pole and then end at the signal family. So for instance, right now we're actually in the overtone chromatic, the red moon Skywalker overtone chromatic that began, here's if you want to see how that looks in color. Okay, color version. Okay, thank you. Okay, use crayons, be fun, have fun, be a kid again. Okay, so yesterday we began the red overtone chromatic, which goes from the red moon in the South Pole, okay, and now we're at the dog in the North Pole, and will be completed on the final day that we're here, okay, on the red cosmic Skywalker. We will complete what's called the red solar moon cosmic Skywalker overtone chromatic. Now the reason for the overtone chromatics is very simple, and that is because the coordination of the year, of the solar galactic year, always begins on the gateway family. That's why it's called the gateway family. You enter the year always on one of this year is a white resonant wizard year, so that sets literally sets the tone. So and from that you have, and so that's the wizard mirror overtone chromatic. And like the chromatics always start with the same color and end with the same color. Okay, so So, and also that the chromatic of the year, for instance, this year is a white resonant wizard year. The day out of time is going to be white resonant mirror. It's like the whole year is one big chromatic, okay, that will end on the same color and the same tone on the last day of that chromatic. So you can put that down. That's very good. It's great. Okay. You get the picture. You got that in your book. That's 5.11 in your illustrations, so you can follow that. So from that first chromatic of the year, there are exactly 73 of those 5-day chromatics that occur, starting with that first one. That's why I said this morning that the biomass constant, the number of the biomass constant is 73, because there's exactly 73 of these chromatics that occur. The last of the chromatics, well, you have 72 of those. 72 times 5 is 360. And that completes what's usually referred to as the solar cycle of the Hob, which is 18 times 20 is 360. That's the same as 72 times 5. And then you have that 73rd chromatic. The 73rd chromatic is always going to be the same as the first chromatic of the year. That's if the first chromatic of the year, like for instance this year, was a wizard mirror chromatic, the 73rd chromatic is also going to be a wizard mirror chromatic. But since the first chromatic starts with the 7 and the last one has to end with the 7, then you know that that 73rd chromatic this year will be 3 wizard, and then 4 eagle, and then 5 warrior, and then 6 earth, and then 7 mirror the day out of time. Okay, so that's how that works. So when you're ascending the magnet, then you're sending the magnet from, like for today, for instance, this is planetary dog today, 10 dog, okay? So when you're sending the magnet, the dog is one of the polar kin, okay? We mentioned that this morning. You'll see the polar kin are dog, eagle, sun, and serpent. Okay? And those polar kin, which are all the North Pole, and they correspond to the crown chakra. Okay, if you look on the human holon correspondence, those 4 polar kin are also what create what I was talking about this morning. Slight digression. We won't lose the point. When you look at the tzolk'in, you see here's the serpent, number 5, the dog, number 10, the eagle, number 15, and the sun, 20. These are the polar kin. They're also called the bar family. You'll find them. Here's the sun, here's the dog, and here on your big toe here, that's your serpent, and over here, that's your eagle. Okay, so that's the where you find them on your fingers and toes, and these 4 polar kin divide the tzolk'in into 4 65-day galactic seasons. Okay, 4 into 260 is 65. Okay, so these in the Mayan tradition of the Chilam Balam, these were called the burner days, and they always go in the sequence. The one that we're in right now, 3 dog, they always begin with the activation day, 3. Okay, so 3 dog, that establishes the white galactic spectrum. That's a 20-day run. Then today we're extending the white galactic spectrum. That's the function of the 10. Okay. Then when we get to the 4, then that converts the white galactic spectrum. That's 20, 20, 20. That's 60 days. And then you get to the 11, and the 11 always transports the galactic spectrum. Okay. So when you get to the 11, you have 3 20-day cycles, and then when you get to the 11, that's always just a 5-day transport cycle, so that if you see that dog, then when you get down here, then you get to the next polar kin, 3 eagle, then you say, okay, that activates, that starts again. The harmonic convergence began on a 3 eagle, so it was the beginning of one of these 65-day seasons. The blue transforms. It was the beginning of the transformative galactic season. So the same thing again. The 3 establishes, the 10 extends, the 4 converts, the 5 transports, and you come down here, and then there's 3 sun. Okay, and again, the 3 sun that establishes, the 10 sun extends, the 4 sun converts, and then you get, they forgot a dot. It's 11 sun right there. Same as you, right, Ingrid? Okay, they forgot the dot, but we know there's supposed to be a dot there. 2 bars and a dot, okay? God bless you for making this anyway, okay? It helped me. I didn't know what I was going to do. I said, oh boy, someone put one of those up there for me. That's great. Teacher loves good tools. Okay, and then so when you get that, that's the 5-day closeout, and then you count 5 days, and sure enough, there's the 3 serpent, the electric serpent. We got one over there. Yeah, there she is. Electric serpent, we got, and then the same thing happens when you get to the 11th serpent here. You count 5 days, and you get to the dog. So those are the 4 65-day galactic seasons, and that's how they work. 3 20-day cycles in a 5-day cycle. These are large synchronization cycles because they always occur. They always begin in a signal family wave spell. Okay. This one begins, the dog begins in the star wave spell, the serpent begins in the night wave spell, the sun begins in the mirror wave spell, and the eagle begins in the Skywalker wave spell. They always begin in a signal family wave spell, and they always connect castles. There's 5 castles, and so the galactic seasons are what make a connecting link between the different castles. And then also, as we said, the dog season is what connects then from one galactic spin to another galactic spin. Okay, so that's a little bit on the meaning of the polar kin. Okay, and one of their functions. Okay, so anyway, today we are is a dog, 10 dog. And so we know that when today we're in the northern hemisphere, okay, right? Yes. Are we awake? Yes. Whew. Good. Didn't want to lose you on that one. Okay? Northern hemisphere it is. So that means that we can do it all right now. We can receive a delayed telepathic yellow magnet from the southern hemisphere, and that comes into your crown chakra. So, okay, so today, for instance, you can visualize that you're receiving that yellow magnet, and it's coming from the southern hemisphere. It comes to your crown chakra. Now, each of the 5 major chakra centers has 4 colors, right? So today is, and you can imagine that as 4 big petals, okay, if you wish. And so today we'd have the dog is white, so we'd have the white petal of the crown chakra there. And so you see the yellow magnet is melting and dissolving into the white petal of your crown chakra, okay? So you can close your eyes and feel that. Yellow and white are antipode colors, so it's a nice, interesting little contrast that you get there. So, simultaneous to receiving the magnet in your crown chakra there, the yellow magnet in your crown and the white petal of your crown chakra, you are also being attuned to the dog zone and the planet Holon, okay, which is the area of Alaska and Siberia. It's the Bering Strait, okay, that's where the dogs led the humans over from Asia to America, okay? So you can imagine those dogs taking the humans from Asia over to North America. And so you're also visualize that you're pulsing that zone of the planet. This is what is called establishing the holonomic identification between your body system. You can also say, okay, this is my dog thumb, okay, and I got my crown chakra, and I got the yellow magnet there, and we're also pulsing this zone of the planet on the planet Holon. So this is how the purpose then. So now we're sending or receiving, as in this case we are receiving a magnet from the southern hemisphere teams, and we're receiving it in our crown chakra, and we're also pulsing the zone of the dog, which is in the northern Arctic zone between Siberia and Alaska there. So you establish that holonomic identification. Tomorrow, okay, then we'll move down. We'll be going into the monkey zone, which we'll be receiving the magnet. We'll do this again tomorrow. We'll be receiving the magnet in our throat chakra. We'll be receiving the yellow magnet in the blue petal of our throat chakra, and then we'll be pulsing the zone where we are, which is basically North America, okay? And so it goes on like that until you would complete this chromatic. Then, as I said, we'll complete the red solar moon cosmic skywalker chromatic on the last day of this seminary here. So the chromatics, as I said, there's 72 of them until you get to the last 5 days of the year. The last 5 days of the year, or traditional, which is the 73rd chromatic, and that's the critical one. That's the one that then takes us from the electric wizard to the resonant mirror, which is going to be this year's day out of time, and which is the absolute conclusion and culmination to the 7 years of prophecy, and is at that point at which on the back of your compass slip cover we switch from a clockwise third dimensional direction and begin the day after that a counterclockwise fourth dimensional direction. This is why I said we are here to awaken the soul of the earth, okay? And this is all part of the process of awakening the soul of the earth. So that's how that part of it works. And then the next part of it has to do with the psi chrono unit, okay? That every day we're activating also the psi bank, which is here is actually the psi bank. I have it here too. As it appears in Earth Ascending, this is actually map 1 of Earth Ascending, and the psi bank is visualized as a wraparound. As being in resonance with the electromagnetic field around the Earth, and so it's a wraparound. It consists of 4 sequences or plates, each 90 degrees across. Okay, 90 times 4 is 360, so they wrap around and create this around the sphere of the Earth. And then they're divided. There's a division through the middle there because you have the polar division between the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. So you see them here, the psi bank as depicted here. Here is the first 90-degree section, the second 90-degree section, the third and the fourth 90-degree sections of the psi bank. The psi bank is depicted as a mirror pair of sulcans. Okay, that has been the psi bank is actually a function of the chronosphere, the sphere of time that wraps the Earth. And since time is 1320 frequency, okay, then naturally then the graphic depiction of the side bank is going to be through the 1320 frequency matrix that is known as the Tzolk'in. So each Tzolk'in is a mirror pair. If this is, for instance, up here, this is one dragon, then one dragon is going to be down here. Okay? If this is 13 sun, then 13 sun is going to be right over. So you're dealing always with just like within polarity, north and south, that you're dealing with mirror opposite. That's why there are two Tzolk'ins like that. Okay, so actually you have 520 units per side bank plate. Okay, which gives you 2,080 units in all. 2,080 is a fractal of 208. 208 times 10. So there are what are called 2,080 psi chrono units. Okay, a psi chrono unit, as it says, that a psi chrono unit is not the same as a daily kin. Okay, the psi chrono unit is a time-bearing unit. Okay, in other words, imagine that. Okay, where are we today? You can look at this in two different ways. Okay, today is the day 10 dog. Okay, and during this day, certain things happen here. Certain information or energy is coming into the earth that corresponds to our mental experience of this being the day 10 dog. Okay, and so that day is loaded with certain information that's been occurring for many, many years or even millennia. Okay, that's why I say it's a time-bearing information unit. The RINRI project is based on, when you look at this form of the Tzolk'in right here, the RINRI project is based on this principle. It's actually based on the telectonon, okay, on how the telectonon functions. In the telectonon, you have 4 towers. You have when you enter, you have the Tower of Accomplishment. Do you have a poster? Maybe we could show them that, or yeah, okay. I don't know. Here, there we go. Okay. When we look at the telectonon that we have, when we enter, we enter in what's called one of the 4 towers. This is the first tower, and then you have the 4 days of the heaven walk, and then you have the second tower. So you have there 6 days in all. Okay, and then the cube, there are 16 days, and then when you emerge from the cube, you have another tower. That's the navigation tower. This is the accomplishment tower, the free will tower. And when you emerge from the cube after 16 days, then you have the navigation tower, and then you have 4 days of the heaven walk, where we are right now. We're right here on the 25th day. And then you have the spirit tower. Well, when you keep that in mind, when you look at the Tzolk'in, you have the grid, you have just keep that out, you have the 52 galactic activation portals, okay, and there's 260 units. 260 minus 52 is 208. Remember, I said there's 2,080. Okay. 208. Okay, very good. Okay, excellent. 208 is 13 times 16. Okay? This is for other people who say, God, I have a hard time with math. Okay? Oh, no, you don't. It's just a mental block. Listen, it's really true. 208 divided by 13 is 16. During 1 year, you have 13 moons, and you have a cube journey, and there's 16 days in the cube, right? That means that you spend 208 days every year in the cube journey. Okay, so that accounts for all of the psi-chrono units that are not a galactic activation portal. Okay, got that? Okay, there's 208 of those that are not a galactic activation portal. Okay, that accounts for the 13 times that you take the 16-day cube journey. Okay? So then you have the other 52. The 52, how many gates do you have? 4. I mean, how many towers or gates? You have 4. You have the accomplishment tower, the gate, the free will, the navigation, and the spirit. Okay? Those are the 4 towers. And so that's 4 and times 13 is 52. Okay, so the galactic activation portals take care of the gates of your towers. Your gate when you come in, and your free will gate, and then your navigation tower and your spirit tower. So 4, and those you have 13 times a year. Each moon you have one. So 4 times 13 towers and gates is 52. Now, in the towers and gates, they take care, each of the towers and gates accounts actually for 3 days. Okay? So, for instance, right now, we have just left the navigation tower, and so the navigation tower, the influence of the galactic activation portal psi-chrono unit for the navigation tower is the days 23, which is the navigation tower, as well as days 24 and 25. Okay. Then tomorrow, when we get to day 26, that's under the influence of the next galactic activation tower. Okay. So that takes care of all the days of the telectonon. So each of the galactic activation portals takes care of 3 days each. Okay, so 52 times 3 is 156. More math. Okay, 50. So each of the accounts. The day that you enter accounts for days 1, 2, and 3. Then the second gap accounts for days 4, 5, and 6. The third gap accounts for days 23, 24, and 25, and the fourth gap accounts for days 26, 27, and 28. 3 times 52 is 156. 156 plus 208 is 364 days. So all your days are accounted for. That's how the program works. So when you look at the graphic here, the psi-chrono unit, we're in the day 10 dog. But what's the psi-chrono unit for today? This actually then becomes a grid that overlays the 13 moon telectonon. So, for instance, the first moon accounts for this set of days. Over here, in this quadrant here, all the galactic actives, 13 galactic activation portals, and they all account for the first 3 days of every moon. This is the first 3 days of the first moon, first 3 days of the second moon, first 3 days of the third moon, first 3 days of the fourth moon, first 3 days of the fifth moon, sixth moon, 7th, 8th, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So, and then this lower quadrant here accounts for the second 3 days, which are completed on the 6th day, the free will day. So this is all coded with 1-1. This is all coded with the 1-6-2-6-3-6. Okay, so and then over here on this quadrant, this accounts for all the 3 days that are governed by the galactic activation portal that governs the navigation tower, which is the 23rd day. So you'll find the number 23 in all those 13. This is the 10th moon, right? Yay, right? Well, please be with me. Tell me I'm not just out alone here, doing this whole abstract thing, getting dry mouth. Jeez, be with me. Okay, so we know it's the 10th moon, and we've passed through the navigation tower, and it's the third day. It's the day 25. So we're still under the influence of that. So we look here, 1023. There we are. Our psi chrono unit for today is still going to be the 4-hand. Okay, so that's why someone wrote down here psi chrono for hand. And there's different ways you can skin the cat. If it's not your day, if you're not a 10 dog, you might be a 4-hand and say, hey, wait, that's my psi chrono unit. You can ask Daryl back there. He knows that. Daryl, incidentally, is responsible for matting and framing all the drawings, the copies of the drawings that I did. He's responsible for making them elegant and making them presentable like that for you. Daryl is also, if you ever get down to the Portland Gallery at 618 Flanders Street, it's basically Daryl's 4-hand artistic vision that has put that gallery together. So I was waiting all day to get to this point where I could say, hi Daryl, it's your psi chrono unit, man, go. Good. God, it's a long time to get to that moment. Had to do all this other stuff first. So the psi chrono units remain constant. Okay, they remain constant. So every planetary moon 23, 24, 25 is going to be Daryl's galactic signature for hand. Okay, everyone has a chance. The psi chrono units, as you see then, are distinct from the passage of the daily kin. That's why these are referred to. These you have to think of. They are the time-bearing units. That's why they're referred to that. They're constant. They're in the psi bank here. They repeat. So you see, you have one strand repeating. This was the first year of the First World Peace, blue self-existing storm year. So we ran through this whole thing. Not only do you run through it in the northern hemisphere, you also have the southern hemisphere. You're actually, for instance, today we're in the 4th year. This was the first year. This was the 2nd year. This was the 3rd year. And this was the 4th year. We're in the 4th year now. Incidentally, we're going to do this over again for the next 4 years. So if you missed out on all the fun, we're going to do it again. We'll explain why later on. So we are now in the 4th year, and you could find 4-hand right over here. But when now in this exercise, this is all just to let you know that okay, we've been receiving a magnet. Today's a dog day. We're pulsing our crown chakra. We got the Alaska-Siberia connection all hooked up with the happy dog trotting across the Bering Strait. And we also have, we visualize the entire plate of the psi bank for this year, okay? And we visualize that overhead, okay? So that's the neat part, okay? That's arching over your head from the North Pole down to the South Pole. We're up here in the North Pole, you got to visualize, okay, where is that 4-hand, okay? See that right there? So that's not too hard because that's in that second set of galactic activation portals. It's the second one down, okay? You can at least visualize the 52 galactic activation portals pretty easily. It's not hard to locate where that 4-hand is. It's the second one down there. But then you have to visualize where it is in the southern one too, okay? Opposite place, okay? It's coming down from that direction down there. So it's still in the same location down there, mirror opposite place. So that's part of the visualization exercise, opening, and in this way, through doing this, by the time you're done with the whole year, then you've completely opened up the whole system. Okay, so tomorrow we'll go over this again, because tomorrow we'll be under the influence of 1028, because it'll be the 26th day, the 26th, 27th, and 28th day. Those 3 days are under the influence of the Spirit Tower day. So tomorrow will be the Psychrono unit will be 11 Wizard. Okay, so we'll get to do this again mañana. So and then when we get to we'll finish that up. When we leave here and we get to the spectral moon, then you have to go over here. We'll start again. Then we'll be here. We'll say, okay, I'll look for 11-1. Okay, and then we'll be at that point. And that'll be for days 1, 2, and 3 of the spectral moon. And then when we get to day 4, because 4, 5, and 6, then we'll come down and find 11.6. That will be the 9 Skywalker. Okay, so on the Naui Olin, the Psychrono unit will be the solar Skywalker. Okay, and then when we get to the 7th day of the 11th moon, then we go and we get the next 16 of these regular units. Okay, you'll see here. You go find 11.7. So we'll go from 11 Wizard Psychrono unit, right there. Then when we enter the cube, it's 11.7, the 7th day of the 11th moon. You write this differently. If in South America they 7.11, here we say 11.7. And that's another 11, okay? So it's going to be very 11, okay? It's going to be, which is the 11 World Bridger. And then you'll see for the cube, you go through 11.7 and then 8, 9, 10. And then when you get the galactic activation portal, you skip that, okay? Then you see here 11.10 and then here 11.11, okay? Which is the Psychrono unit is 4 human, and all the way until you get to 11.22, because the 22nd day of every moon is the 16th day of the cube. And then when you get to 11.22, then you skip and you go over here and find the Psychrono unit for the navigation tower. Okay, so that's how it works. The galactic, the loom of Maya, or the binary triplet configuration that you see here, remember, is 52 units. It actually consists of 13 quartets. Okay, those 13 quartets, each quartet accounts for the 4 tower days that occur in the telectonon, and each tower day governs either 2 heaven walk days or 2 earth walk days. So that's how the system works. Now, when you look at this over here, you see that the upper half is white and the lower half is yellow, and that's because the first half of the year is the white resonant wizard year. So the magnet for the first half of the year was that the northern team was sending was a white magnet. But when we get to the point of resonant moon 15, which of course always occurs right there, right in the middle, and occurs on the magnetic monkey position, kin 131, that when you get to that point, then you switch polarity, so it goes from the white then to its antipode color, yellow. Okay, we saw the color relationships in the dream spell. White and yellow are antipode, red and blue are antipode. So when we do this again, when we complete this, you'll see that when we get to the 16th day of the cube journey in the cosmic moon, that the the Cyclona unit is 12 storm, and that's the last one there. And then we'll go to the tower day, which is going to be the navigation tower, which will be 7 dog right here. And then when we get to the last 3 days, it'll be 8 monkey. Okay, and then we're finished there. And then that'll be the last time you receive a yellow magnet. Okay, for a while. When we get to the next sequence again, it's going to be, the new year is going to be all right, Blue Galactic Storm, they got there. Like I said, I don't want to be all alone up here. When I first started, when I realized that I had to, I went to graduate school and I studied art history, and I thought that was all fine, and then I realized, what are you going to do for a living? Well, when you get a PhD in art history, you don't have too much of a choice. You become a professor. And then I realized, oh my God, a professor, that means you have to stand in front of people and talk. Oh my God. And then I said, well, they prepare you really poorly. They don't tell you that. They don't say, hey, you're going to have to talk in front of people. You should take speech lessons. You should study drama or something like that. No. They just throw you out there cold, My teacher, my daughter always says, God, I hate listening to you, Dad. You have such a boring teacher voice. Well, it's because they don't prepare you right. What do they should have been trained in drama, or, anything, stand-up comedy. Anyway, that's why I'm always, I have to do this stuff here, this is really, I got to do this, I have to go through this, you have to understand this, and I have to be up here, and I have to do this, I have to make sure, God, I hope I haven't lost them, they're not down there with the Titanic someplace. Got cement on their feet, and sinking. Anyway. So yes, it's going to be Blue Galactic Storm. Thank you for being responsive to my need to have a participatory audience, okay? I didn't mean it to be this way, God. Okay, so for the next 4 years, it's going to be the same sequence, okay, as far as the color go, because we're going to have, it's going to be Blue Galactic Storm, then it's going to be Yellow Solar Seed Year, then it's going to be red planetary moon year, and then finally white spectral wizard year. So we'll have the same sequence. So when we get to the magnetic moon day of Blue Galactic Storm year, the northern teams will be sending a blue magnet to the southern teams. When it gets to be the middle point of the year on the 15th day of the resonant moon, southern teams will be sending a red magnet to the northern team. So we'll continue in that particular sequence, but we'll be doing that with what are called the a slightly different program. We'll be opening what are called the psi-nimboid membranes. Okay, we're not done with the psi bank. You got to evolve. This is higher intelligence. So anyway, we'll all be, really flipping out happily. Don't worry about it. Okay? It's going to be... Yeah, I'm going to have some water. That was really... what a dreadful experience here.
Let's all sit up for a minute and just catch our breath. And I always like the part to say, remember, you got to relax to really input new information. If it's the first time you've heard it, you can relax, because if you do it as a daily practice, it works very easily.
Very good. Okay. Have some coffee, some water. Okay. So, everybody get a good stretch there, huh? Got sympathy with Dr. Arcturus, huh? He just wants a little sympathy. Okay. Imagine yourself doing this, okay? Explaining Psi-Chrona units are not the same as daily kin, okay?
Well, they better imagine themselves saying it, because we're not going to be saying it all the time. All of you have to then be saying it. Exactly. And you've already been teaching it. So.
Okay, so there we are. So that's the point. The psi-chrono unit is not the same as the daily kin, and so then this provides a further synchronization factor. As I said, might not be today, for instance, planetary dog I can identify with because it's part of my primary occult quartet. Okay, so I said, okay, well, I can ride in on that one, but then I can also bring Daryl along with me. Because it's his psi-chrono unit, even though he's a core family. So it all works out, and you have further levels of synchronization. And this is what is further referred to as now we're developing what are called the understanding of different levels of celestial harmonics or time vector potentialities. Because, okay, on the one hand, okay, this is the 25th day of the planetary moon, okay, which that's simple enough, and then we throw in the galactic spin, and it's also the day planetary dog, okay, and then we go into the telectonon, and we find out we're also on the second day of the heaven walk. And we're actually on the line of force, which is the continuing consciousness line up in the telepathic sector of the interdimensional solar system map, and then we get to the Rinri project and say on top of it we got it's the psi-chrono unit of the blue self-existing hand. So then that's what we mean. Now we're accessing different levels of time vector potentialities. That's what that means. So now we're starting to our little point in time, okay, that she was reading about in that little Rinri newsletter report. Our little point in time is now operating at least 3 or 4 different levels. Okay, so that's what is meant by all of that. Further, you'll notice that on the chart of the, I think it's there. Am I crazy or not? Let's see. Yeah, right here. Of course, then you have also the next level also that you're dealing with, which is the release of the radial plasmas and the creation of the structure of the pentagon of mind. So you see that, for instance, today you'll notice on your little program is Kali Day. Okay, as you see, we're with the funky days of the week. And we're Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday stuff, and we're reading them according to the 7 radial. Not only do they not give you speaking lessons, but then you have to deal with technical problems beyond your control. So today, for instance, is Kali, which day, or the fourth plasma, or the 4th seed. And remember, we're also dealing with 4 is to 7, as 7 is to 13. So we got to the 4th point of our 7-day seminary intensive experience, and that we also see that this experiment, the experiment of the First World Peace, the Rinri project, began on the 4th year, which was coded then by the radial plasma. Those cards, telectonon cards, yay. And oh, that's okay. We got one right there. That's all I need. Okay, in the telectonon cards, on the 7, the cards that have to do with the 7 oracles of the lost generation, on the front side of the cards have the depiction of what is called the heptagonon of mind, okay, which is the 7 plasmas of the 7 seals of prophecy, okay, and you can see that how those are, the 7 of them. The Dali is the first one, which is on top here. The Celi is the second one, it's on the bottom. The third one, gamma, which was yesterday, is over here on the upper right. And the fourth one, Kali, today is down here in the lower, excuse me, that was the upper left, and Kali is over here in the lower right, okay? And then tomorrow then will be Alpha, which is in the lower left, and then Limi, the sixth day, up here in the upper right, and then the seventh day is Celio, which is in the center. The first six of these plasmas creates the six sides of the cube. Okay, so the Kali represents the back side of the cube, and then this alpha is the right side, the Limi is the left side, and then when we get to the Celio, that's the center of the cube. Okay, so when you see on that program that you have, Dali is the top of the cube, Celi is the bottom of the cube, Gamma is the front of the cube, Kali today is the back side of the cube. Okay, and then Alpha tomorrow will be the right side of the cube, Limi the day after that will be the left side, and then when we get to Celio, you're at the center of the cube. Now when we began the 7 years of prophecy, first year of prophecy was coded by, that whole first year was coded by the seal and the plasma known as Dali, okay? And then the second year was coded by Gamma, the third year was coded by Celi, the third year was coded by Gamma, and then the fourth year, when we began, was coded by Kali. That means as of last year, we had created a very large heptagonon of mind, which is called the heptagonon of mind of heaven. Okay, it's a very large cube that is actually around the earth. That's the heptagonon of mind of heaven. This year we are inside the cube, okay, which is with the Celio plasma. The Celio discharges. The first one, the Dali, targets. The second one, the Celi, flows. The third one, the Gamma, pacifies. The fourth one, who began, the Kali established, because when you have, when you look at the structure of the heptagonon of mind there, the first, you have the Dali is on the top, the Celi is on the bottom, and then the Gamma, and then the Alpha. That actually creates a structure. Okay, if you look at that, you can see it creates a whole four-part structure. Okay, and so that establishes the heptagonon of mind. And then the fifth one, when you get to the Alpha, that releases, the Limi purifies, and then the Celio discharges, and that's at the center of the cube. So actually this year, this whole year is functioning at the center of the large cube that is referred to as the heptagonon of the mind of heaven. Get more into this. Oh, they're going to do something. Come on. Go. Hello, are we still here? Are you with me? Goody, okay. So, as I said, so for this year we are completely in the center of a very large cube or heptagonon of mind of heaven. So this is actually the year where we are to be journeying to the center of the earth. The radial plasmas, the radial plasmas constitute the primary electronic structures that establish the creation of the universe. The plasmas are actually continuously being generated from virtually close to the center of the galaxy, and they're in a process of continuous creation, and so that they are streaming from the center of the galaxy to the solar system, for instance, where we are, and from there they affect the sun, and from the sun then they go and enter into the different electromagnetic fields of the planets. So the Rinri Project and the Telectonon Prophecy recognizes the existence of the 7 primary radial plasmas which constitute the fundamental basic electronic structure of the universe. The universe, this is also referred to as the plasma universe model, which we'll talk about more when we talk about the 7777. So this year we are with the celioplasma, which refers to actually to a mental electron neutron, which is discharged at the center of the Earth. The first 3 plasmas have to do with establishing primary sensations of heat and light. Okay. The Kali plasma, which today is also Kali, that is a complex plasma that coordinates the sensation of heat and light with the primary atomic structure, so that the last 3 plasmas, this refers to a double extended electron. The second one refers to a Randy. The second one refers to you tried to be discreet. I should probably let him be discreet, but I don't know. Something got into me. This refers to a double extended electron. This one refers to a mental electron, and the final one to a mental electron neutron. So you see how we go from an electron structure that's double extended, because we're now telepathically extending our mind into the structure of the electron and creating a twin, a double one, okay, to correspond to an actual one. We have adopt an electron program. You adopt an electron, and then you twin it telepathically. Okay, and once you've established that, then you can make the mental electron. Okay, which corresponds to the Limi plasma, and then the final one is a mental electron neutron, which is a completely telepathic electron neutron, which is placed then at the center of the Earth. So that's what's behind these different seals, which, as I say, what you see on your program. If you look in your Rinri Project booklet, about page 41 or so, all of this, everything that I've been going over is in this booklet, okay, which you can study, and maybe now that I've said something, it might be easier to understand, or it might not be, who knows. This is if you look here, this page here describes the functions of the plasmas, and there's two different aspects to this. We've spoken about the heptagon of mind, in which you have the Dali on the top and the Celi on the bottom, like that. But then there's also what's referred to as the cubic parton structure, okay? And the cubic parton structure refers to the arrangement of the plasmas, which they just tilt, okay? You just tilt the heptagon of mind, and so that in the cubic parton structure, the alpha is at the south pole, the Limi is at the north pole, and the celio is in the center of the Earth, okay? So, and because that refers actually to the formative, creative structure of any form or entity or being in the universe. So those are some little details of the... Oh, he came back again. This tell him, hey, that was a relay race. Okay, I got the baton now. Now what they do, they hand off a baton in a relay race. Okay, so this is what I'm giving you, all of this information that I'm giving you. I'm trying to make sure that we're all still awake as we receive it. Are the fundamentals of what we refer to as the rainbow science. Okay, this is very different than the kind of science that maybe you're familiar with. but it's a science that is coordinated by the law of time and the telepathic capacity of consciousness, so that we can arrive at a state which this morning, to take us back to this morning where we talked about the 5 stages of the holonomic equation. Nature presents itself, man learns from nature, man transforms nature, nature evaluates man's transformation, and the 5th stage where man and nature synthesize, okay? So the capacity for man, the human being, and nature to synthesize is dependent upon the cultivation, obviously, of a science that is very different than the science that creates the flat universe. This new science, which is coordinated by the science of the law of time, is referred to as rainbow science. The present science is purely a science of materialism and is dependent upon the creation of states of mind that are dependent upon belief system that the only reality is this solid matter, so-called, okay? The rainbow science of what is a rainbow? Okay, a rainbow is an intangible, but yet you can see it. If I take this crystal here, which Raul has very graciously left here every day, and I'll put my fingerprints on it and he can clean it. You can look you can look at this crystal here the way I'm looking at it right now, and it gets filled with very, very beautiful iridescent rainbow types of colors. This is called the spectral lights, okay? So the 11th tone is the spectral tone, and that takes a visible form in these spectral colors. You can see them, but where are they? Okay. You take another way and say, well, I don't see them anymore from over here, but over here I can see them. There, of course, it can be explained scientifically by different types of optical effects, or the ones that you see outside in the sky, that they can be explained by meteorological types or meteorological optics. As a whole scientific field that deals with things like that. But the point is that the rainbow is not tangible. The rainbow is immaterial. Okay, it's a function of different maybe material effects that create an immaterial reality, but which is nonetheless absolutely visible to the optic nerve. Okay, so the rainbow science refers to a science that is not of the 3rd dimension. It's 4th dimensional science. Okay, that's why it's referred to rainbow science as functioning in the 4th dimensional realm, which has appearance but has no substance. Okay, and that where we are evolving is to that. Where we are right now is in the densest point. Okay. We took on these bodies, and the taking on these bodies is called for the purpose of the involution of spirit, the evolution of matter, okay, in this biological form. At the same time, through our body, the involution of spirit, and in our bodily form, the evolution of matter and the involution of spirit become complete. Okay, and we miss the point when we completely encase our mind, our body, our senses in a purely materialistic science and in a purely materialistic belief system, which again is a function of the distortion created by the 1260 timing frequency, which is a function of choices that are made in the free will experiment to not follow the divine plan, to not follow the laws of nature, to not live in harmony with the universal cycles. So by making those decisions at some point in our evolution, in our history, we get to this point of absolute materialism, which represents the supreme densification of the spirit in matter, the entombment of the spirit in matter. And it's from this point here then that the involution of spirit is complete, and now must become the evolution of spirit. And the evolution of spirit is the movement of spirit out of matter, out of the material body. We know this, generally speaking, as the gateway of death in our present belief system and the way we have constructed ourselves. Because when we go through that point of death, that then we are passing out of the material and into just the purely spiritual, as it is said. But the point is that we are to evolve the spirit from within our dense matter. So this is the actual meaning of the point that we have arrived at when we talk about the biosphere-noosphere transition, that we have arrived at that point where matter can evolve no farther, that we have achieved the extreme limit of the evolution of matter in biological form, and that now we are from this biological container, we are now to which is the extreme point of the involution of spirit. We are now to take the spirit and to evolve the spirit. This is the meaning of the discovery of the law of time, that now we find a way how we can begin to do that, how we can begin to understand how we got to be where we are, and how we can begin to take the steps to evolve the spirit out of matter. That's why in the diagram of the evolution of time as consciousness, we are at this point right here, where the evolution of the involution of spirit actually in matter actually is this movement coming to this point here. And so now we have to understand, how do we begin to evolve the spirit out of the matter? And that is completely dependent upon the discovery of the law of time, because the first step is to return the sense of time to consciousness, and return consciousness to the sense of time, so that they are one again, and to place the sense of time and consciousness in the correct timing frequency, so that in the correct timing frequency, then the spirit then can begin to evolve through telepathic means that are coordinated with the 1320 timing frequency, which is why the 13 moon calendar is so important, because this is the little instrument that allows our body to slowly regulate and normalize itself in the correct timing frequency. And once it has done that, then we can establish these other levels, which is, we said these other levels then take us to the point of what we have called the Rinri project. And the Rinri project then is the first stage of the spirit, collectively, we've had many spiritual masters, many spiritual teachers, many people who have attained some degree of enlightenment or proximity to God, however you want to define that. But collectively, to evolve the spirit collectively, that is the point of the evolutionary process, to become a galactically coherent microbe colony, conscious as a whole unit, in synchronization with the whole of the unitary phenomenon, which is referred to as life. Okay, and so from that, the first stage of this process, following the discovery of the law of time, and which is to help see that we can open a gateway to get to the point of galactic synchronization in 2013. The first stage is what is referred to as the Rinri project, the circumpolar rainbow bridge experiment, so that the whole point of this is to synchronize ourselves by practicing holonomic identification every day. Today we are in the crown the crown chakra, the polar kin, okay. Thumb if you want, cyclona unit, the forehand, which is up there, second one down in the second sequence of that, and it's down there, and in the southern hemisphere, the second one down coming like that, okay, you got that, visualize that, okay. People develop visualization techniques, this is a good visualization technique. And so all of that then is to get ready to this point where on the day out of time we are to synchronize for this great experiment to see if we can manifest an actual demonstration of the evolution of spirit, the rainbow science, through the triggering of a rainbow bridge that connects the North Pole to the South Pole. Of necessity, when you start to think about this, the rainbow bridge has to be in two parts. This, for instance, this little globe here, Velatropa 24.3, has, hold that a second, you can see this part here like that, but the rainbow bridge goes also over there like that, okay? And so it's the two parts are 180 degrees apart from each other. There's always one side that's facing the sun. There's always another side that's facing what we might call absolute midnight. And so as the world turns in this direction, at dawn there's always one bridge coming up. And when you get to nightfall, that bridge goes down and the next one's coming up, okay? So that's the kind of thing that we are preparing and that we're visualizing and preparing to eject. Now this also involves the synchronization. As I said, the basis of this is, as we've known, we've been able to have rain dances, we've been able to affect the weather, we've been able to do things like that. Now we're going to go to a planetary scale and say, okay, no, we're going to see if a collective mind field can interact with the electromagnetic field of the planet to make to create a rainbow bridge, and to see if we can make that rainbow bridge a permanent feature of the Earth. This is called the opposite of the atomic bomb effect. It's a very positive type of phenomenon. And just as the atomic bomb was very difficult to imagine, what do you mean you're going to release energy from splitting an atom? Well, we're not going to release energy from splitting an atom. We're going to release a rainbow by releasing consciousness from the atom. Okay, the consciousness is universal. As we said, it's not my property. It's not your property. Consciousness is a universal medium. Okay, that even down to the atomic structure. Okay, that there is consciousness. So we're going to release consciousness from the atom in the form of a rainbow, and this is coordinated. This is very specifically coordinated with what is referred to as the sunspot cycles. The sunspot cycles, which I was showing you this morning. That the sunspot cycles go in about 11 and a half year cycles, and they have this kind of create this kind of magnetic energy field on the sun, but they have a direct relationship to the activity of the poles of the Earth, and this is why there is the phenomenon referred to as the aurora borealis and the aurora australis, which are the northern lights and the southern lights. And the current sunspot cycle, 11 and a half year sunspot cycle, began in 1989, and it is now peaking. We will have maximum when the sunspot cycles peak. What you're dealing with is a phenomenon where on the surface of the sun, that beginning at 30 degrees north and 30 degrees south at the beginning of a sunspot cycle. You'll have a positive pulsation and a negative charge pulsation. And those spots, those begin by the ejection on the surface of the sun of what are referred to as giant flex tubes. These flex tubes eject from the surface of the sun in a spiraling manner, and then from these flex tubes then begin these pulsations, what we refer to as sunspots. And so these sunspot cycles then pulse approaching the equator of the sun, and as they approach the equator of the sun, there are massive ejections, what are called coronal mass ejections, solar flares, and these solar flares are very intense. In fact, the astrophysicists have been very aware of the fact that this current sunspot cycle is unlike any other sunspot cycle that has happened, the one from 1989 to the current time when it peaks this summer, and that this is the most intense activity that they've experienced. As a matter of fact, last year they began issuing, along with the daily weather reports, the sunspot cycle activity reports, because often there are disruptions in the electromagnetic field due to this activity. So as this activity on the sun reaches its climax, okay, it's interesting, we'll have a climax this in the middle of the year 2000, and then the second part of the cycle will climax in 2012. So as you can see, all of this has been part of the whole Mayan prophecy cycle. And that, so when we get to this point right now that we're having maximum discharges of the solar flares, and also then we'll be having maximum discharges of the aurora borealis and the aurora australis. I'd like to say that when we were with the Earth Wizard Seminary in Peak Archean and we began to do the experiments, we went into the Earth families and we were following the 5-day overtone chromatics, and then we added to that exercise the further cross division into color families, and then the color families were following the pulsars, the wave-spell pulsars, as they're coordinated by the plasmas. Okay, so this is a further part of it. For instance, today is a planetary dog day. That's part of the lunar first dimension life pulsar, the 2nd, the 6th, and the 10th points in the wave spell. If you look on your card, which is shrink wrapped, you'll see on the back of that card for the manifestation day 10 card that it shows you that first dimension pulsar. And then we also have that this is a white day, but it is also a blue plasma. Okay, the Kali plasma is blue. Okay, so we were doing exercises of following the pulsars, following the plasmas, and basically toward the end of developing, which you'll see at the bottom of your sheet, the advent of the biosolar telepath. Okay, that we can attune our biology and our telepathy to the solar frequencies to create a type of being or state of consciousness which we refer to as the biosolar telepath, which is really the technical word for an earth wizard. And that when we came to the final point of this exercise 4 days before the completion of the Earth Wizard Seminary at Peak Archean, that the Earth families met in the form of the color families, and they'd been doing these exercises, and during that meeting in the afternoon, there were rainbows in the sky, like you wouldn't believe. And so we saw that, well, that's working, okay, that we are saying that we can affect that. We also know that over the last, there were 2 types of rainbow phenomena. The one is the rainbow phenomena that is referred to as a perihelion. The perihelion you sometimes see on both sides of the sun. Okay, and this is what we're talking about when you talk about the rainbow bridge, is something that follows the sun on both sides. okay, and stays there permanently. It's interesting, when we arrived in Germany from Russia at the evening we arrived, and the next morning as well, there was very powerful perihelion. The other kind of discharge that is evident and has become very evident in the last 13 years is what's called the plasmic discharge in the clouds, and this creates a you'll see the spectral clouds sometimes, of very, very intense colors, very much like the colors that you see in these crystals, okay, as a plasmic discharges in the clouds. And so that afternoon at Peak Arkeen, the sky was very, very intense with these the plasmic discharges in the clouds. Some of them were very much like serpents or plumed serpents or whatever you want, as well as the perihelion phenomenon in the sun. So that seemed to indicate that the telepathic field was strong enough that we were actually able to co-precipitate this type of phenomenon. And as I said also, when we were in St. Petersburg at the Institute of Geography recently, 3 weeks ago, whenever it was, that we were giving a presentation on the law of time and the fulfillment of Vernadsky's vision. And this was the big overflow crowd that we had there. And then that night, and then for the next 3 nights, there were very spectacular, unprecedented manifestations of the aurora borealis, and that these also were seen throughout Central Europe as well, down into Germany and into Holland. And what we're talking about is developing this exercise where we synchronize our mind according to the to the overtone chromatics, according to the experiment of sending and receiving the rainbow, and activating the psi chrona units of the psi bank, so that when we get to that 5-day period, that final 5-day period, the 73rd overtone chromatic, what was traditionally called the YEB, that then we're asking for teams all over the planet to go into very focused coordination to prepare for and establish the triggering of the Rainbow Bridge, which is basically what we're talking about, is extending the auroras to connect with each other on both sides of the Earth, 180 degrees apart from each other, connecting the poles. This is what we're aiming for in this exercise. It's a what we call a biosolar telepathic exercise. We know the brain and the body is full of electrical charges, and we know that we function in an electromagnetic field, and we know that we have, at this point, been dissynchronous in time, and we also know that we have never attempted anything collectively telepathic of this nature. So this is the basis of this experiment that we'll be attempting to perform, or we will be performing, and that actually when we come to the final day of this program on the Cosmic Skywalker Day, we will begin the preliminary exercise, because that is the prophetic date on the sunstone, and that from that point we'll be doing a preliminary exercise of the visualization and telepathic exercise that we'll be doing to initiate a time wave, okay, that goes from this point up to the day out of time. We'll be giving all the instructions to how to keep this time wave rolling, so that when we get to that point in the day out of time, that we have some manifestation of this particular experiment. From what happened at Peak Arkeen, I'm confident that we now know that we have the capacity to trigger this effect, and that now it's a matter of coordinating this process all over the planet on the day out of time, so that we actually have this very, very unprecedented experience of the Rainbow Bridge. So that's a little bit of what's behind what we refer to as the Rainbow Science. On the lecture program here, it says I was supposed to say something about the 260 postulates of the dynamics of time, which I'll say briefly this. that is an extremely important text to study with regard to the circumpolar rainbow bridge experiment. The premise that underlies the 260 postulates of the dynamics of time is that not only is time the evolution of consciousness, but what evolves is the star. We're all part of the evolving star, and we're participating in the stellar evolution of Velatropa 24. Every star aims at becoming at some point in its evolutionary path, going to the point of becoming a supernova. There are many, many electromagnetic occurrences that are happening throughout the solar system. Again, the scientific group of the Russian Academy of Sciences at Novosibirsk in Russia has been tracking this since 1987, when the supernova 1987A occurred, and since that point, that was a very key trigger point. There has been a tremendous infusion of plasma, of electronic plasma, into the solar system, which has resulted in great changes. The electromagnetic field of Uranus, for instance, has increased about 100-fold. And there are many other types of what are referred to as electromagnetic anomalies that are occurring throughout the heliosphere, the entire solar system. And that, of course, Velatropa 24.3 actually has the most highly charged electromagnetic field of all the planets in the solar system. And so we are looking at a moment of a very dramatic and very tremendous electromagnetic event occurring, and it is this putting the human collective, a critical mass of the human collective field in synchronization with these electromagnetic events is what we're talking about when we are saying we want to establish a time wave that rides this solar electromagnetic occurrence for the next 3 moons. Okay, so that's what we are all participating in. That's why you're all here filling your slots, so that your brain waves can begin to vibrate with this, your hearts can open to this, and that we can create that critical mass of the collective human mind to establish this, because by doing so we're creating an event of positive magnitude. We're not being victimized by the events, but we're placing our mind in synchronization with the event. As we evolve, we inevitably have to get out of our skin. That things are going to heat up, and that the future of the evolution is in the mental spiritual direction, but it's in the mental spiritual direction that is synchronized by the law of time to be coordinated by the 1320 universal constant frequency, which will allow us to enter consciously into the next geological era, which Vernadsky described as the psychozoic era, the era in which all of life becomes spiritualized. That is to say, getting back to the point that we are now going from the maximum involution of of spirit, that we are now beginning the actual evolution of spirit, the spirit going out of the densification of matter in which spirit has been trapped, particularly for the last 5,000 years. So this is the meaning of taking the opportunity of the moment of the Judgment Day trial. Okay, that this is where we are, and it's actually the opportunity. Can we evolve? Can we become biosolar telepaths? Can we, and becoming biosolar telepaths, establish a culture that is a planetary telepathic garden, bioregional, no government culture, okay, where we are in communication with each other by telepathy rather than with technology, and that's the evolutionary moment where we are. That's why the Mayan factor is called the path beyond technology. That's what we're talking about. These are the instruments, these are the tools, and this is the knowledge. I wanted to say one more thing. I wanted to stand corrected that about the planetary lineup I've been saying. It was the 5 outer planets. What we're talking about is the Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Venus, Mercury, okay, and then the Sun and the Moon, and then we're on the other side of all that, okay? So that's what will be occurring. So anyway, my voice is running out of steam, poop, and vigor. Like I said, I never meant to be doing this, but I got no choice. She has something to say, I'm sure.
Only just to please get a good rest, eat well, take good care of yourselves, and we look forward to seeing you in the morning.